Friends, today is Tuesday, January 16, 2024, and I have selected today a verse from Proverbs that says simply, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is insight." In that verse I alluded to yesterday in the hymn Amazing Grace, we hear, "'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved." In Reformed theology, one of the roles of the law is to generate in us a kind of holy fear. It's to help us to see, oh, this is what life is to look like if we're to live it according to God's plan and in His power. It's to be a life of forgiveness and mercy and love and generosity and sacrifice and honesty. We look at those things in the law, then we see that we're not living in those ways. There's a kind of a necessary dread, a necessary fear that comes on us as we realize that we won't live up to expectations. We won't become holy on our own, that we are dependent on God and God giving us this grace that is essentially extrinsic to us. And in the written devotional for today, I point out that God's heart breaks over those who live in rebellion from Him, who live on their own terms, who ignore the possibility of Him offering them life and peace. But nevertheless, His love doesn't cancel out His judgment. And without His grace, there's really no way to please God. Without His mercy, there's no way to overcome guilt. Without His resurrection power, there's no way to defeat death and the forces of spiritual disintegration and physical decay. So pretending to have faith in our own power, like our own sovereignty, is the most foolish course we can take as human beings. It's futile, and it doesn't align with reality. That's why the cross is so much at the center of Christian theology. And there was a great chaplain at Duke University for many years who taught in the divinity school there. He had been a pastor and a writer, and his name was Dr. William Willimon. Very gifted preacher, kind of a preacher to preachers, and he was attacked once for allowing a movie to take place outside of the Duke University chapel on the campus. The movie was called The Handmaid's Tale. It's still probably available somewhere, and it's quite a movie, but it has a death scene where there's a hanging on a scaffolding. And so it was actually the Christian community, Christians at Duke, Christian students and faculty and others who protested the idea of desecrating the land outside of the sanctuary with this symbol of death. Well, on that particular Sunday, Willimon began his sermon in an unforgettable way. He said, "Welcome to the place of the execution." And everyone kind of went, "Oh." He said, "But look around you." He said, this whole cathedral is shaped like a cross, and behind me there's a huge cross. We come to the scene of an execution every week. And there's a kind of holy fear that we should feel, the necessity that we have of depending on God's goodness to rescue us from what otherwise would be a disaster. Let's take a moment to pray. Lord, grant us a deep and reverent respect for your holiness and power. Let your grace never become just symbolic or stale for me, but real and urgent. We ask this in your Son's name. Amen.